team, I hope you're all well. Today I am going to be doing my December wrap up. I think December actually might have been my best month of the year, funnily enough, considering it's the last month and also the month that's the busiest for me, with me having my birthday and also Christmas. But I read 26 books in the month of December, which is a lot. I know quite a few of these, to be fair, are graphic novels, but there's also a lot of like actual, you know, novels in here, some reasonably sized ones as well. So it was the month for sort of trying to finish off series and get through any books that I've been struggling with throughout the year. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it, because otherwise we'll be here for a while. I'm not going to go too much into what the books are about because this will be a long video regardless, so I don't want to make it any even longer. So the first book that I finished of the month was Almost Midnight by Rainbow Rowell. This is a collection of 2 short stories. It's really short indeed. It's like a small book, and I just really enjoyed both of these stories. I think I give one of them 4 stars and one of them 5. So the first one was following a girl who on New Year's Eve over several years, she really likes her best friend essentially, and she only realises it in the last couple of years, coming back to the first year that you start off in. So does that make sense? So you start off in a year and then you go back a couple of years, and it shows the build up of those feelings coming together essentially. And it was really good. It was so cutesy. I really enjoyed it. The second one is following a girl who is a massive Star Wars fan, and she decides to go to the midnight showing of the show, but she wants to queue up, you know, like some of them do, these huge like Star Wars fans or huge Trekkie fans or whatever. They queue up like a week before the film's going to come out outside the cinema, and they just camp there. So she wanted to get involved in one of those, and as it turns out, she's only the 3rd in line, and that is the case for approximately 3 days. So I don't know if it's 3 days, I can't remember, but it's a couple of days. The 2 guys in front of her, one of them's about her age, the guy at the very front is an older guy, and they kind of like look after her, but it's just really sweet. She's sort of finding herself at the same time as coming to realisation about several different things, and it was just really cute, and I really enjoyed it, and I do recommend it. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars overall. It was so good. Next one that I read was Snow in Love by Melissa Dela Cruz, Nick Stone, Amy Friedman and Casey West. This is a collection of short stories, so it is an anthology. They did a story each. I picked this up solely based on the fact that I am becoming obsessed with Casey West very quickly. So I read all of these. I gave Casey's for 5 stars. Sorry, I gave Casey's 5 stars. I gave, let me just check which ones I gave which now. So I gave Casey's 5 stars. I gave Amy's 3. I wasn't as much of a fan as of that one. I gave Melissa Dela Cruz's 4, and I gave Nick Stone's 4 as well, I think. But I really enjoyed Nick Stone's one, Grounded. That was a really good one actually. In fact, I might have given that one 5 stars. Overall, I gave the book 4 out of 5 stars. It's just a collection of short, cosy, wintry contemporaries. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was very good, and I do recommend picking this up. I think this might be one that I end up picking up once a year around Christmas time, because I think it's really cozy, and it's the sort of thing that the stories are memorable, but because they are short stories, you can forget them reasonably easy, especially if you're reading as many books as like some of us do. So it's the sort of thing that I could read again and again, and it would probably surprise me every time, to be honest. Next I read Christmasaurus the Winter Witch, which is the second in the Christmasaurus series. I don't know if there's any more coming out. I'm going to assume that there might be. This wrapped up nicely, that it could sort of be the end, but also it could carry on if it wanted to, a bit like the Christmasaurus did really. This is by Tom Fletcher, and I've read the Christmasaurus in November for Believe-a-thon, and I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This one continues following the story of the Christmasaurus and William and Santa and some of the other characters from the first one. I don't really want to give away any spoilers, but yeah, it's really good. I do recommend it. There is I do get like Frozen vibes from this a little bit. It's just really sweet, and I love it so much. I do highly recommend it. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one, but I did enjoy it nonetheless. And then also just look at the other side of this. How gorgeous is this? Got my hands right over Santa. Just so cute. I really love it. Yeah, I do recommend, and I really want to pick up The Creakers next as well, which is by Tom Fletcher. They are mentioned in here, so there is a bit of a crossover there, so I want to pick that up as well. Then I read Descender Volume 5. This is obviously the 5th in the Descender series. If you don't know about the series by now, where have you been? Because I describe it every single time, probably terribly indifferent every single time as well. It's really, really good. I really love it. And obviously this is Volume 5, so I'm obviously enjoying it to continue with it. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. It was very, very good. I do recommend the whole series. Then I finished, because I had started this earlier on in the year, I finished Hollywood Wants to Kill You by Rick Edwards and Michael Brooks. This is the peculiar science of death in the movies, and I really enjoyed this. It took me a while because it is rather scientific, but I did enjoy it when I was going through it. So I didn't have too much longer to go, I don't think. I was on page 199, so I just finished that off. There was only that much left. It's really, really good. It sort of goes through the motions of death by asteroid, death by viruses, death by you know, big monsters, death by different things, and it was really, really clever. It also gave you film recommendations. If you enjoyed this film, watch this film, etc. It was really, really good. Do highly recommend it. I'm going to pass it on to my dad because I think he's going to enjoy it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. Then I read The Toll by Neil Shusterman, which is the 3rd and final book in the Ark of Scythe series. I gave Scythe 3 stars, I gave Thunderhead 4 stars, and I've ended up giving The Toll 3 stars. I was not a fan of this. This disappointed me a lot because I really enjoyed Thunderhead massively. I enjoyed Scythe to the point that I wanted to carry on, but not enough for me to give it more than 3 stars. It was just okay, but I did want to see how it ended. So I'm glad it's just a trilogy, because after this I wouldn't have carried on. This is a fairly chunky book, and essentially the way I would summarise it is that for about 75% of the book you're following new characters, which, considering it's the 3rd and final book in a series, is a little bit silly as far as I'm concerned. Just don't really see the point in them, that it was unnecessary. I just didn't really enjoy it. I wanted to continue following our main characters that we were enjoying in the first 2 books, who were Citra and Rowan. I wanted to continue following those 2, but unfortunately we only really saw, I mean, we saw Citra throughout this a little bit, and Rowan as well, but not much. We weren't getting much from them until the very end, which was a shame. I just didn't really enjoy it. It was extremely political as well, which I don't really enjoy. I don't like politics in my general life. I don't like it in books either. So yeah, for me it just wasn't a win. I gave it 3 stars, which is unfortunate really, because the series could have done, the potential was there for it. I just didn't enjoy how it ended really. Moving on from The Toll, I read Descender Volume 6, which is the final in the Descender series, which is a shame. I really enjoyed this. However, as it turns out, there is a new series starting up, which is like a follow-on from this, but in the future, following a character that you meet at the very end of this called Ascender. I'll show a picture here. Only the first volume is out at the moment. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. Again, I'm not going to go into explaining what this is about because I've just mentioned it, but I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. Again, I do highly recommend this series. It is a sci-fi graphic novel series, if that's what you're into. Then I read Saga Volume 7, which is a fantasy sci-fi series. It's really, really good. I really enjoy it. The illustrations are amazing. This is an adult graphic novel, so just beware of that. But I just really, really enjoy it. It's great. I really recommend it. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. I obviously really, really loved this one. Then following on straight from that, I read Saga Volume 8, which I gave 5 stars again. And then I read Saga Volume 9, which was what I thought was the completely final one in the series. As it turns out, that may not be the case. I think there's going to be another one. So I went into it thinking it was the final one, and it turns out that's not the case. So I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know whether that sort of swayed my rating a little bit, but we'll see. But so far for that series, I think I'm rating it like 4.5 out of 5 stars. Some of them have been 5s, some of them have been 4s, so 4.5 I think is fair. Then I read The Subtle Knife by Philip Pullman. This is the 2nd in his Dark Materials series. I am loving this series so far. It's so good. I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. I gave The Northern Lights 5 out of 5 stars. I was obsessed with The Northern Lights. I do listen to these on audio, and I do highly recommend the audiobooks. Philip Pullman narrates them with a full cast of characters, so I do highly recommend them. They're fantastic and they're such a good adventure. I cannot wait to read The Amber Spyglass, which I am planning on doing so in February, I think. So yeah, I do highly recommend this. This just carries on following Lyra, who is our main character from The Golden Compass, and it just continues to follow her on her journey to find dust. I think that's what she's still doing anyway. So yeah, it's really good, and I do highly recommend reading it. Then I read Bloodlust and Bonnets, which is another graphic novel. I picked this up on a whim. I can't remember what channel I saw this on, to be honest. I'm really sorry about that, but I saw this on somebody else's channel and I was like, oh, okay. Because I'm always down for more graphic novels. This is like classic romance literature led by a trio of queer misfits and several angry vampires. I don't know if you need to know any more than that, to be perfectly honest, but it's so good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was hilarious. The illustrations are just fantastic, and I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I do recommend it. I picked up Hunting Prince Dracula by Kerry Maniscalco. This is the second. Oh, my shoulder. This is the second in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series. I buddy read this with Siobhan. I read the first one, Stalking Jack the Ripper, on my own, but then I buddy read Hunting Prince Dracula with Siobhan by Kerry Maniscalco. I've already said that. Continues to follow Audrey Rose Wadsworth and Thomas Cresswell on their little adventures, and good. You find out some interesting bits about Thomas in this, which is really cool, and I really enjoyed it. I just loved it. The world building in these books is fantastic. You just really feel like you're with them in Romania, in this school. It's just so good. I'm obsessed with the banter between Audrey Rose and Thomas. I just really love them. I love their relationship. It's just fantastic, and buddy reading this with Siobhan has been brilliant as well. It's just really added to the process of reading the book and the experience of reading the book, because I've had somebody to discuss it with as I'm going along. It's just been so good, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, which is exactly what I gave Stalking Jack the Ripper as well. Then I read Dumpling by Julie Murphy. I read this, I think I read this for, yeah, I read this for a readathon. It was the group book, so I would never normally pick this up, but I've heard really good things about it and I really wanted to watch the film, so I wanted to read the book first, and I'm so fucking glad I did. Honestly, I loved this. This was fantastic. It's one of those contemporaries, you know, that just sticks with you for a really long time, and I just absolutely loved it. I adored it. Lots of things going on in this. Obviously a lot of fat shaming, which is horrendous, but the way it's dealt with is really good. There is best friend relationship, there is boyfriend girlfriend relationship, mother daughter relationship, grief. There's a lot going on in this, and I do highly recommend it. I was just fucking obsessed with it. I thought it was outstanding. I laughed a lot. I cried a lot during this book. So many emotions. I just thought it was beautiful. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The film, not so, it was okay, but it's not so good. There's a lot missing out of the film. For example, the relationship between her and Beau obviously builds up a lot more in the book, and I know you can't put everything in from the book, but I just feel like the relationship between Beau and Will just sort of came out of nowhere in the film. Just out of nowhere. I don't know, I just feel like it, obviously the book is better than the film. So following on from that, I read A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. This came in the Fairy Loot box, the November one, I think, and I didn't know whether or not I was going to pick this up, but then I found the audiobook on Scribd and I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. I tend to do that unless I'm really invested in the book before I get it. I don't tend to jump straight on these. They're the sort of thing I come back to later on, which you'll notice with the last book that I read of the month. But yeah, I picked this up. I was pleasantly surprised. I actually really enjoyed this. This is following two sisters, Eva and Isa, and they both have different types of magic, but only one of them can become the queen. So the mother has them fighting to the death. Mum and dad have split up, and dad is on team Eva and Mum is on Team Isa, and it's really bad, really, the relationship and the way it's all done, etc. But there have been several attempts on her life. She's struggling to sort of pick up on her magic, so she's got a teacher. There have been several attempts on her life prior to the fight that's coming up between her and her sister, and it's just shocking but very, very good. I really loved it. It was fantastic. I just enjoyed it so much. I had such a good time with them, and I think this is a series, the start of a series, so I'm really looking forward to it. Also at the top it says I devoured in one sitting from Natasha Young, and I loved her books, so yeah, I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Snow and Rose, which is a middle grade. This is by Emily Winfield Martin. This, again, I listened to it on audio. It was really cute. There's some illustrations in here. The storyline itself was sweet. Basically following 2 sisters, Snow and Rose, and they live in a forest and they don't realise that they're living in a fairy tale. Dad's gone missing and they're living with Mum, who is pretty devastated, to be honest. She's struggling with the grief a lot, and it's just really cute story. I really enjoyed it. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I need to get through these a bit quicker now. We're already like 21 minutes in. Lock and Key Volume 6 was to wrap up the Lock and Key series. I friggin' love this series so much. It's a horror and it's a graphic novel, and I do highly recommend it, so go pick it up. 5 out of 5 stars for the whole series. Then I read Teen Titan Raven. This was by Cami Garcia. I don't think I've picked anything up from her before, but I believe that she's writing a whole series of these, so I'm really excited because I've really friggin' enjoyed this. The illustrations in this are gorgeous. Not only that, but everything is pretty much black and white apart from Raven's hair and some of the speech bubbles. It's really good. I do highly recommend it. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I can't wait for what else she comes out with. Then I read Queen of Nothing, which was the final book, 3rd and final book in the Folk of Air series. What is wrong with me? I think it's called the Folk of Air series anyway. The Cruel Prince and the Wicked King, Queen of Nothing, is the final one. This continues to follow Cardan and Jude on their journey, although you don't get much of Cardan and Jude till the very end, so just be aware of that. If that's what you're looking for in this, just persist with it. You will get it all at the very end. You do get what you want from it at the end, but just persist with it. It's really good. I highly recommend it. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was so good. Then I read Escaping from Houdini, which is the 3rd in the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerry Maniscalco. Again, Buddy read this with Siobhan, really enjoyed it. I only gave this one 3.5 stars though, to be fair. Didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first 2. The reason being is that she unnecessarily throws in a love triangle, and I wasn't a fan of it. Just was not here for it at all. I know that's down to personal opinion. Like, some people will be like, yeah, just throw a bit of drama in there because it's absolutely needed. You can't have a perfect relationship. But I just was down for the perfect relationship. I wanted it to continue. Also, this sort of takes place on a boat, so there's only so many places that people can go, and I think I just struggle with that a little bit as well. So yeah, but other than that, really enjoyed it. Again, we're continuing on with Audrey Rose Wadsworth and Thomas Cresswell, and this time they are trying to escape from Houdini. It's really good. Audrey's cousin is more in this one as well, which I enjoy. Liza, I think she's called. I enjoyed that she was in here a little bit more because I do enjoy her character. I think she's fantastic. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Well, 3.5 stars. Oh no, sorry, 4.5 stars. What am I talking about? 4.5 stars on this, not 3.5 stars. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Then I finished, because I was part way through this again from earlier on in the year, but I finished Muse of Nightmares by Laini Taylor. I did enjoy this, to be fair. Like, I gave Strange to Dream a 4 out of 5 stars. I've given Muse of Nightmares 4 out of 5 stars. It was really good. I just feel like we didn't follow Laszlo as much as I thought we were, so I was led down this garden path of thinking that it was about this boy who was trying to find the lost city of Weep, which it was in the first one in Strange to Dreamer, but we kind of... Laszlo was still in it, but not as much as I thought he was going to be. There was a lot more came into play with this, there were a lot of characters. I kept losing myself with the characters sometimes as well. There was a lot of things going on and I did keep losing myself a little bit, but come towards the end it was really, really good and I did enjoy it. I can see why people are big fans of this series, and also the book is just absolutely stunning. I am going to be passing this on though. But yeah, I finally finished it. This was the one I'm most proud of, I think, for the whole month for finishing, because it is a chunk and it took me friggin' ages to get through. Like, I think I started this in June and I've only just finished it in December. So yeah, 4 stars for Muse of Nightmares. Then I read Becoming the Dark Prince, which is a novella by Kerry Maniscalco that sits in between Escaping Houdini and Capturing the Devil. In fact, it actually crosses over with part of Escaping from Houdini. So this is told from Thomas Cresswell's side of things, which I really enjoyed. So for example, a long time ago when I read the 50 Shades of Grey series, because I did, they brought out a book after the 50 Shades of Grey series called Grey, which was told from Christian Grey's side. I really enjoyed it. Sometimes I really enjoy, you know, when they do this where they don't just tell one character's side of things, they actually come out and tell you another character's side of things. So I really enjoyed Thomas Cresswell's side of things. I just really enjoyed his side of the story. It was very, very good, and it's shed a bit of light on the unnecessary love triangle we got in Escaping from Houdini as well. It kind of made me enjoy the book a little bit more. I think the book would have been probably 4 stars, but I bumped it up to like a 4.5 because of Becoming the Dark Prince. I just really enjoyed it. It was very, very good, and I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars. I just loved it. I thought it was fantastic. It is an ebook only, but it's a very, very short one. So yeah, I recommend it. I think it's like 69 pages or something. So keep your eyes open for it because I do recommend it. Then I read Sleeping Giants by Sylvain Nouvelle. I gave this one 3 stars. I initially gave it 4, but then I sat on it and I didn't really like it and I gave it 3 stars. This is a sci-fi that's sort of sold similar to Illuminae, if you like. It's told in interview format, which I didn't mind because obviously I've read Illuminae and friggin' loved it, but it's told a little bit differently. It's just literally interview format as it's told. So that's not the interview, that's a diary entry, I think. So some of it's told in diary entry and some of it's told in interview format. So they'll show you the question and then give you the answer. I listened to it on audio. Got the audiobook for this from my library actually. Got the audiobook for this from my library. Listened to the audiobook. Again, very political. I went into this thinking it was going to be lots of sci-fi and about some robots, but it wasn't. It was very political. We barely got any time with the robots and it was just a little bit weird. I wasn't a huge fan. I may continue with the series just to see if we get some more sci-fi, but I'm just a bit worried I'm going to waste my time on more politics. So yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. 3 out of 4 stars. 3 out of 5 stars from me. I wasn't a big fan. We'll see whether or not I continue with it. Then I read P.S. I Like You by Casey West. I loved this. This was so, so cute. I might just need to check what this was about again. Oh yeah, so Lily scribbles some of her favourite song lyrics on a desk. The next day she finds that someone has continued the lyrics to the desk and added more to her message. They then start swapping some messages and I really, really liked this. This has the hate to love trope in it, which I really enjoyed. I knew from the beginning who the dude was that was writing back to her. Predicted it very, very early on in the beginning, which I didn't particularly mind. I just really enjoyed the romance. It was really cute and I'm just really liking Casey West's writing. I fly through her books. I think I've read this in a day. It was so good and I can't wait to pick up more from it. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Then I read On the Fence by Casey West, which was obviously another Casey West. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. This is following tomboy Charlie, and she is being raised by a single dad and she has 3 older brothers as well as her best friend who kind of acts like another older brother. So she is the youngest of them all. The next one up from her is just a year older, with the eldest being about 3 or 4 years older, I think. But she's not into like makeup or anything like that. She's literally a tomboy. She plays soccer, she plays basketball, she plays football. She'll hang out with the lads all the time. She's not really got any girlfriends. So basically a book about a girl finding herself in a world where she's only been brought up a specific way. Her dad doesn't go out of his way to bring her up like a lad, but he's not really got much choice in the matter. Her mum passed away very few years ago, but she's always had nightmares about it. She's struggling to get over it, and there's a reason behind that. She doesn't know the whole truth behind her mother's death. There is no kind of trigger warnings in this, and there probably should be. So without it being too much of a spoiler, there should probably be a trigger warning for suicide in here. It's only at the very end, so just be careful of that. But it's such a good book. I loved the story behind it. I cried through a lot of this. But it was so beautiful. I enjoyed so much of it. A lot of it had me smiling, just with the way that she is absolutely adored and loved by her brothers and her dad and like her friends and her family. She's just so adored. But I also cried so much with what was going on with her, and I just thought it was so beautiful. The message behind it is incredible. Like, I was really shocked at how deep this goes, to be honest. It's really good. If you're ever going to read a Casey West book, I would recommend this one. I mean, I've only read like 3 or 4 of them now, but I would really recommend this one if you're looking for something a bit more deep and meaningful than just a cutesy romance, because there's a lot going on in this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Really loved it. And then my final book of the year was This Splintered Silence by Kayla Olson. I managed to get this on audio, and I really friggin' enjoyed it. I'm so glad I listened to the audio for this. This is following a young group of teens-ish, if you like. So I think they're like 16 to 19 or something, and essentially they live on a space station, and unfortunately there's been like a virus on the space station which has wiped out all the adults. So anybody that originally lived on Earth and then went up in the space station has been wiped out, including our main character's mother. So Lindley's mum, Lindsay, was wiped out. She was like the captain of the ship, so well, not automatically, but because Lindley's one of the eldest on the ship, obviously essentially now it's just a bunch of kids on the ship because they were all born on the ship. And she tries to sort things out for them, but they are rationing food. They're struggling to get communication down to Earth so they can get more food, and there's a lot more going on. There is some more deaths happening now with the younger kids on the ship, and she's trying to figure it out with her team. She's also trying to figure out who she is and what she wants out of life. There is a bit of a love triangle in this as well, and I just really enjoyed it. I enjoyed everything about the story. I was really surprised. In a book box club box earlier on in the year, and I didn't pick it up. It might have been like January or February, and I just didn't pick it up. It went straight on my shelves and I didn't go to it, but I wanted to pick it up because I knew I would enjoy it with it being sci-fi. But I found the audio, and I'm so glad I did, because it forced me to pick it up. And I gave this gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I just really enjoyed it. It was so good, and I do recommend it. So that was my final wrap up for 2019. Probably my best wrap up of 2019. December was probably my best month, which is really surprising. I usually read less in December, but yeah, I really enjoyed my reading. So I hope you have enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed all my wrap-ups for 2019. To be perfectly honest, I read a hell of a lot of books, and I'm hoping to do the same in 2020. I hope please like and comment down below if you want to. I would really appreciate it, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I shall see you for the next one. Bye for now.